Hey everyone, it's the College Town agent, Alex. In today's video, we're going to be talking about if I were starting over in real estate in a college town. Maybe you are, maybe you're starting a new career in real estate in a college town, or maybe you are relocating to a college town and you work in real estate. Maybe your husband or wife got relocated, boyfriend. Maybe or better yet, you know, maybe you finished school and you just wanted to skip to another town because maybe it's where you're from. So if I were starting over in a college town, which I will tell you, quick little backstory. I used to work in real estate in Atlanta, and I did it for like 6 months. Completely flopped. Didn't do anything. Had some really cool training, but I obviously didn't pay attention to what they were telling me, and I kind of screwed up. So I called my dad, and he had recommended that I get into real estate in Auburn. And so I moved to Auburn and got into real estate. And there's a lot of things that I did really wrong, and there's a lot of things I did really right, or I eventually figured out. It took me a while to get rolling, but we got rolling. But so I'm going to cover, maybe the first things you may want to do whenever you move to a college town. And I've got 5 points for you today. So, this isn't like I want this to just be chill today. I don't want you to worry too much. Maybe not take any notes right now. Maybe come back to the video later, but we'll just kind of talk about it. So, number one, the university. What university are you going to be living around? Whether it's big or small, maybe it's a community college, or if you're moving to a bigger town, which really my only experience is Auburn University. So, living in this town, hopefully you're around a big town. Maybe you're at Ohio State. Maybe you are in Clemson, or maybe you're up in Tuscaloosa. The first thing that I would tell you to do is learn the rhythm of the school and the university. So learn the rhythm of what the school does year round. Take a look at their academic calendar. See what events the city is centered around looking at the university, and learning the rhythms of it. Because, most towns you move to, they typically have one market, and it's residential resale. It's a bunch of houses, and everybody knows, if you look up, you get any random coaching online, they're going to tell you, oh, the hot season, it starts in March and goes through the summer and then it cools down. Well, that is true for residential resale, but maybe you live in a bigger college town where they have condos. And speaking from the experience of being in Auburn, is that the rhythm goes is that, yeah, we have our standard housing, like our residential housing, and it's pretty regular. But I will say the season probably starts at about February here, and it's a pretty hot market. And at that time, there's a lot of things going on. Is kind of understanding the psychology of what's happening with what is moving in the town around the university's rhythm and timelines. Is the high school kids are getting acceptance letters, maybe the end of the fall and through the spring semesters of high school. So, it's good to look online for parent communities for the university. Maybe you can find the graduating class pages. That's kind of a little bit of a sneak peek, and you'll see, hopefully they can let you join as a real estate agent. And it's a great opportunity to maybe post some content in there if they'll allow you, or just reach out to the parents that are super excited about their kid joining and going to school. Because the next thing that happens after all the excitement and the acceptance is that typically the parents are okay, where are they going to live? And, they may live on campus that first year, they may not. But it's important to understand that. And because that's an opportunity, right? Parents are just investors. Parents are just investors. That's the best way to think about it. And then, the condo season, it's interesting, like in Auburn, I don't know if it's where you're at, your college town, but I would check and see. But we do turnover the end of July, beginning of August for like a couple weeks, and then school starts. And then you get into football season. And these kids are fresh to school. They're rushing fraternities, sororities. And then October rolls around, and all of a sudden they're getting renewals late September and early October for the following year, renewals for their maybe their dorm or apartment, or their condo that they're renting, or maybe it's a house, and maybe they don't love their roommates and stuff. So that's what we call condo season, is that the condo season really picks up about mid football season. And it's because parents are going, okay, my kid didn't love where they're living, or they want to go somewhere different, or they want to live near the fraternity house or the sororities, and or this is where their friends are going. Um, and looking at that is, we call our condo season. It starts in October, usually goes pretty good through even the holidays, because when we start seeing acceptance letters, we're talking to condo owners that are parents that maybe their kid's going to be graduating in the spring or in this, or maybe even in the winter, and or the fall semester. And maybe they need to sell, and then you're also talking to parents that their kids got accepted. So you think about matching those people together, and what kind of database you can work, and what that looks like. So that's kind of our condo season. It does cool down for just a small bit during the Christmas timeline. But you'd be surprised who's buying. More serious buyer, less buyers, but more serious buyers in the cold weather. And then it really picks up again, going into the new year, pretty strong. People looking for condos, because they know that after the new year, they're 6, 7 months out from when their kid needs to be here. And they're going, where are they going to live? So that's a good point of contact for you if you're a real estate agent, and kind of thinking through that, and always checking the rhythm of the academic calendar, and understanding that is really, really, really important. There's always these little nuanced things with every university, what you're good at, what your university is surrounded. Maybe it's not football, maybe it's basketball, maybe it's a baseball school, but really focusing on those. And when there's home games and parents coming in town, those are good weekends to host open houses. That's good. Those are good touch points. I mean, every time there's any type of home game, you can call a parent and talk to them and say, do you plan to come in town? And I'd love to, maybe get a coffee, maybe show you a couple properties, put a face to the name, stuff like that. So it gives you an opportunity to build relationships with maybe the students, maybe mostly with the parents. Like I said, parents are really just investors. So if you have a big condo heavy town, think of it as the approach of an investor. Most parents that live out of town do not keep up with the trends going on in the condo complex. Maybe they own a property. So that's where you can be of value. We talked about that in our other video, is, sales is just exceeding someone's expectations and converting that into a real opportunity, and being that voice and being the leader in the house. So you've got that. You've got plenty of parents, and we'll have plenty more videos talking about working with parents, but get used to those rhythms of the calendar. Even look at your local chamber, look at your local tourism bureau, see what they're doing around the university, what events are going on, because those are great opportunities to share it with them. Coming out with like a relocation guide surrounded by that. It gives you that opportunity to just build those relationships with parents. So dive into that. Like I say in other videos, if you have any questions about that and what that may look like, or what those campaigns would be for follow-ups, or what to say, hop over into the Better Agent community over on Discord, and we'd love to answer any questions, especially get to know you. I think that's so cool here that you maybe found our channel and you're in a college town, and we want to build a community because we are in a college town. That's what I know. I want to be able to help you. And, my goal with this whole channel is just to help agents around the country. But, I'm in a college town. That's what I know. If you're there too, man, we'd love to collaborate. If you're a team leader and you want to pour into the community, please, please, please join us there. We'd love for all the minds and the education that we can get. And we all want to learn from each other. So that was point 1 and 2. So point 3 is become an expert in the housing types that outsiders misunderstand. I will tell you probably what a lot of our agents do is they learn the communities that they know parents buy for students. So look at student living. You can easily talk to anyone at the university to find out where students are living, and look at look at those markets. Really get to really educate yourself on the history of what's happening there. Build out CMAs. Reach out to parents, mail them, send them the comps, give them all the information they need. You need to learn that this business is about giving without the expectation to receive, and just do it enough to where the world just blesses you. And that's honestly one of the best pieces of advice I can give you with that. Um, but become an expert of the housing type. Know the HOAs, know the condo associations, know the dues, know what the previous sales history is. It does nothing but help you whenever you're really wanting to build your business in a college town. Of course, the houses and the neighborhoods are fantastic to know. But if your goal is to, and I tell kids coming out of college all the time, like, hey, what do you know? Where have you been? Where have you been hanging out with friends? And like, well, I've been over at this complex and this complex, this part of town. I was like, well, get to know that part of town. I was like, what you don't realize is that you've been hanging out with your friends in people's investments. And so if that's what you know, you might as well hammer away, because there's so much business out there and it's such an abundant world that you can focus and niche down and go super deep and be the expert in that part of that segment of your real estate market. So I would just say go super deep on those housing types, whether it's condos or townhomes, or maybe it's housing communities. Get to know the apartment complexes. It's not bad to make friends with the people that run the apartment complexes, because when they know a kid's moving out, you just never know if they're going to talk to the parent and recommend them to an agent, right? So there's a good lead source. So yeah, and a big thing about working with parents is they never ever really keep up with what's happening in the complex they bought in. They maybe bought it a couple of years ago. In 12 years of doing real estate, I don't think I've ever had a parent not make an extra 5 figures to a lot of times 6 figures after 4 or 5 years of owning a condo. I tell parents this all the time. If they're moving to Auburn, one of the biggest blessings you could have is your kid getting accepted to Auburn, because I know for a fact, if you come here and you pay market price that you may feel is too much money for a condo, hold that thing for 4 or 5 years, you've offsetted paying rent with paying a mortgage, and then turn around and sell it after 4 or 5 years. Most of the time you're capturing what you paid, their cost of living, sometimes even as much as you paid in tuition for the school. And it's like your kids, like you never even had to pay for it. It's just a delayed gratification. So we get to experience that all the time. I understand that not every town is like that, but Auburn is, and we absolutely love it. If you are a brand new agent getting into real estate in a college town, and this is honestly any town, it's not just college towns, is I want you to choose daily conversations over obsessing about your branding, because no one cares about your brand. And honestly, you probably don't understand what the word brand even means. Brand is not what people are seeing online. Your brand is built from the experience working with clients and earning their trust, building reviews, and being known for giving that type of service. That is your brand in real estate. It's not necessarily a logo. Yeah, there's some great companies to be a part of, but look, I've been with the big national brokerages, I've been with independents, and I've worked with several clients with all 3, 4 of those companies. And I can tell you, not once did they really care what company brand it was. The brand that they remember was how I made them feel in the transaction. That is your brand. So choose the conversations over brand obsession, especially when you get started in real estate. It's kind of hard to find your voice sometimes. So the best way to find your voice is to get into conversations. Looping back to some other video, to the other video is, joining teams, finding places where like agents, like for example, you join our team, we have well over 10,000 leads in a pond, and it's all about getting the reps in, getting good, reading talk tracks and feeling like a robot until you feel comfortable, and getting hard objections that you are just dead silent and don't know what to say. And they're like, we're not looking. And you're like, okay, bye. We get that all the time, but you've got to learn to work through that. You've got to get the repetitions and really learn to love the conversation and not be too attached to the outcome, but love the opportunity to learn about others and watch what that does for your business. When you really dive in, you learn to, you get in and you've kind of figured out your rhythm and the scripting and the conversation. And then you start digging into like NLP and learning how to use tie downs and conversations, and you really start to master this craft, and like this messy collage of a conversation, next thing you know, it turns into this beautiful art piece that you can replicate one conversation after another. And that is a beautiful part about real estate, is that you get to create your own picture, you get to create your own art and create your own brand through the experience with clients. So I would definitely choose daily conversations over obsessing with your branding. My last and final point is find an environment where you can be coached and observe real transactions. This kind of comes down to joining a team, and maybe it's not necessarily a team, but find a company locally that is doing a lot of transactions. Find the teams that have a lot of energy, the teams that maybe are known for training. I think one way you could look at it is, if you're obsessed with commissions, go find the company with the worst split commissions that does the best training, because they probably pour more into their agents than that little difference in a split. So that's something that I would recommend, is find the environment that you can go into. And maybe you're not someone who wants to do a ton of real estate deals. You just want to join a great company. Find a good company locally with a good brand name that you can maybe work off of, borrow some of that. That's what we do with our agents. When we sell over 1,000 homes, we were talking about yesterday in our meeting, is that one new agent was talking about, I get on the phone, I hear that, they'll ask me, they're like, how old are you? And how long have you been in the business? And they're like, I'm 22 and I've been in the business 1 month. And then automatically the buyer on the other side of the line, or seller, just disqualifies them and walks away. And then I talked to another agent who's like, oh, I never answered that question. When they ask me, I just tell them, if they want to know, I just tell them that I'm in my 20s and I work on a real estate team that's been here for 12 years. It's sold over 1,000 transactions. That's how you borrow brand. That's how you borrow that identity, and that comes from those daily conversations, because you've got to be, you got to be battle tested, and you're going to fail. You're going to fail, but you got to fail your way into success. You're going to get a lot more no's than you are yeses. And if you're getting a lot of yeses more than no's, you're probably not calling enough people. But find that environment, find your tribe, and find the culture that you want to be a part of. And, if you have any questions about the culture or teams or companies, and you're like, I just don't know where to start, you can go over to our Better Agent community on Discord. There's links in the bio, links probably down in the description. And I want you to reach out to us, introduce yourself, tell us what town you're in. Down in the comments, if you tell us what town you're in, what team you root for, and a little bit about it, or just come into the Discord and chat with us there. You can find videos on the channel maybe twice a week, but you can find us every single day on the Discord. And we've got some other team leaders in there that'll pour into you as well. It's not just me. We've got some great experience, like dozens, just a lot of people that are leaders in the community that I work with around the country, that are great referral sources, that are there to pour into you and you getting started. We love people that are excited about the industry, excited about getting started and growing their business in real estate. So thank you guys so much for joining me today on this video. As always, make sure to, if you don't mind, I'd be a true honor if you subscribe to the channel. You can always hit the bell notification if you want to receive a notification when another video comes out. And as well, we'd love to see you in the Discord. That's probably the best place to go anyways. And we'll post the videos there as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope this helps you if you are starting over in real estate in a college town.